Hi everyone, coming in for a pop-up live. I hope that everyone is doing well, giving everyone a moment here. If you're here with me on Facebook or Instagram, go ahead and share, click subscribe. If you're with me on YouTube, which comes up after I do this, go ahead and click subscribe and go ahead and share. Hi, cousin. Share if you dare, share if you care about somebody or yourself, right? And as well as, if you'd like to make a donation, lots of people have liked to make donations to love offerings to the lives. You can do so at Cash App, $Hector Salvo, or via PayPal, help@mysticalwork.com. Go ahead and share the video, comment, like, all, subscribe, blah, blah, blah. All right? So, yeah. So go ahead. Hi, Mariposa. Hope you're doing well. So I'm currently here on Facebook and Instagram. You know how I like to double do these things. Hi, Lorenzo. So today's topic is struggles, failure, and success. Bonsoir, Raymond. How are you? Hope you're doing well. Struggles, failure, and success. Hi, Danielle. Hope you're doing well there. And what I wanted to talk about, let me see what this little question mark thing is here on the Instagram. Okay, that's what that means. So what I want to talk about today is the struggle. So basically the struggle is real, right? Like, you're going to go through the process of life and you're going to have struggles. And many people often define whether or not they get what they want as either being a failure or being successful, right? However, you're not meant to pass all tests. You're not meant to ace every quiz, right? Success and failure need to have a proper definition, and that definition really for us, success is being able to be happy, not temporarily, not temporally, through cheap pleasures, which only allow you moments of happiness, but actually being to be able to become a happy being, right? If you allow the definition of the world to enter into you, so you have to learn how to be in the world but not of the world, right? On the spiritual path, you seek to be in the world but not of the world. It's a very subtle difference. There's a very subtle difference between being in the world and operating in the world and not being of the world, right? And a lot of people designate failure and success by the definitions of the world. We see many people that are quote unquote worldly successful, and yet they're also miserable. I often say that having lived in Haiti, having lived in DR, having lived in various third world countries, what people consider third world countries, right? And having lived here, I often see more people that are miserable here and get very easily upset here and can have their whole day ruined over things that are just not really that big of a deal, not really that important, right? And define their success as being able to go grab a new car, go grab a new this, go grab a new that, and basically keep up with the Joneses. Now, something that you may not have realized is in this day and age, the Joneses are often way bigger than the Joneses that people used to deal with back in the day, right? Now people are comparing themselves to the lifestyles of the rich and famous and the lifestyles of basketball players and singers and artists because of the internet. This is making it seem like you're actually starting to expand your knowledge base of what everyone has. And so now people are comparing themselves, someone who might be making $30,000-$40,000 a year is trying to compare themselves to someone who is making $500,000 to $1 million a year, right? So now all that much more unhappiness and like, oh, I'm not going to be able to make it there to become a millionaire. I've met plenty of millionaires, and I haven't really met very many happy millionaires. I've also lived in places where people, experience regular financial hardships, right? And find it difficult just to make a means by, and they actually had more happiness in their life, a more carefree attitude towards things. But the world has worked very hard to make you too serious, right? Especially with those of us who follow the spiritual path, it's easy for us because we're doing something serious to become way too serious, right? It's actually something that happens to a lot of spiritualists without even realizing that it's happening, is that they become way too serious, and they don't, kind of take life as a celebration. It's kind of a side effect because of the work that's being done is serious work. However, life itself on a total scale is just generally actually not that serious. That's why we often say, like, God has jokes, and God's constantly playing jokes and having a good laugh because God itself is not that serious. So with that seriousness comes the seriousness of trying to, like, get that new car or get that new iPhone. If you have a phone that already works, it already functions, and it's like the iPhone, I don't know, 6 or 7, and you don't have the 12, it's really not that big of a deal. The truth is, someone told me that since Steve Jobs died, right, everything on all the new iPhones ain't really new innovations. They're really minor improvements. One camera less, the screen is bigger, the screen is smaller, there's an additional app on it, not an app. But I've seen a lot of people put themselves through a lot of financial hardship unnecessarily to go and buy, let's say, the new iPhone or a new car when what they had was perfectly fine, perfectly working just fine. But the concern with keeping up with everyone else and feeling like you're falling behind, which is not true, can actually kind of like be put into you. A lot of people will also put that into you if they see that you're not trying to keep up with the Joneses. Oh, you're falling behind? You're not being successful? You're wasting time, right? Life is also meant to be enjoyed. It's something that very few people kind of like take note of, but life is meant to be enjoyed. It's not meant to be like, a death circus, and how fast can you get to your death? In one of the classes I was teaching this week, someone made a comment about something that I had taught long time before, and very often I teach this to people, and that's that before you're born, your heart has a preset number of heartbeats. And science has just kind of recently confirmed this and found this out. You're born with a certain number of heartbeats. Once you run out of that number, once you run to that number, the heart stops. When you stress yourself out, when you compare yourself to others, when you're running the race because you're trying to reach where others have gotten, you're making that little heart beat that much more quickly. You're running towards your death. That's why I often have said, like, people running after what the world is offering are actually running towards their death. You're just speeding up your death, right? The truth is, just because you don't do well in something, let's say you fail at a test, it doesn't make you a failure. That's what you have to understand. You could not do good in something, but that doesn't make you a failure, right? You can try again and basically suck, fail the test by, human mathematical standards. That doesn't make you a failure. I often tell people it's not really about where you've been, it's about where you're going, right? That means, shit has happened to you. Bad things have happened. Life has passed, right? But don't let where you've been define you. Let where you're going be your definition. Let where you're going, where you're headed, help to define you. Don't define yourself by where you've been. That shit's gone, it's done, it's past you, it's behind you. There's no going back, there's no fixing it, there's no changing it. And a lot of the things that you've considered failure have made you what you are today. A lot of what you've considered failure and mistakes has been the reason you've ended up so wise or smart or being able to resolve a different problem or have a certain level of intelligence that you may think is common for everyone, but actually is not common knowledge, right? A lot of people give up on themselves by not challenging themselves. If you do something and you fail, meaning you don't get where you thought you were going to get, just do that shit again and again and again until you do get there, or reevaluate if you really need to get there to begin with. A lot of people think that they need to get somewhere and have this goal in their life that they don't actually need. And it becomes a huge layer of stress on you. And your heart, remember I said you only have so many beats, it's just beating harder and harder, faster and faster, and your heart's like, give me a break, right? And people are suffering from anxiety. And a lot of anxiety that people are suffering from is this idea that they have to run and be at the level of whatever the Joneses and the masses are doing. And remember, like I said, that at this stage in the world, because of the internet, you're not just comparing yourself to the neighbor down the street. Now you're comparing yourself to like Kim Kardashian and Kanye West, and what do they have in their houses, and what does this business person have, and what does that business person have, right? And you're stressing yourself out about things that are really not going to make or break you. You have certain things that you need. You need food, shelter, water, you need clothing, you need a job, because you need money in order to get food, shelter, water, and clothing, right? And you need human connection, right? You need the ability to be understood, so on and so forth. But don't allow the illusions, all right, to decide whether you're a success or you're a failure. Doing bad in something doesn't mean shit. You can try again. All it means is you tried, and it didn't work out that time. Sometimes you try some shit, it don't work out the first time. So you try again and you try again and you do again and you do again, and then eventually it works out. Or eventually you find a better idea. A lot of the things you thought were mistakes or like major failures really taught you a lot, right? I was speaking with someone earlier this week where they came to the realization that they thought, they were a failure because they got divorced. You're not a failure because you got divorced. In fact, you were a winner because you were able to say, hey, it's done. This is done. This came to a close. Now it's time for me to move on to the next phase. You completed a chapter. That's not a fail. Okay? You went through a chapter, you completed it. The chapter is done. You turn the page. Guess what? It's a different scene in the same movie. It's a different part of life for you to undergo and to move forward and evolve with, right? You didn't fail. It was successful. And when there was no longer love, and you realized that it was no longer serving either party, you took your way, and they took their way. And was it a horrible marriage or a horrible divorce? Yes, it was a horrible divorce because marriage is a messed up concept. Right? Marriage is a concept that at some age you're really going to know who that person is going to be for the rest of their life, and they know who exactly you're going to be. And people grow and people change, especially people doing spiritual work. Right? That's a big part of what we do. is continue the process of growth, where many people have stopped growing after their teenage years. This is why a lot of times people can't behave as adults. It's because they have an adult body, but they don't have an adult development of the mind and the soul and the heart, right? You can you have no choice whether to have your body age, but your mind, your spirit, your heart development, you can definitely keep yourself behind if you so desire, right? So causing oneself a whole bunch of stress over passing or failing, first of all, you tried. Many people don't even try. Many people are too afraid to try. Each failure teaches you something. It could teach you something not to do. It could teach you something to do in a different way, right? So everything that you've defined as a failure have actually helped you learn and grow and become who you are, and become more and more of what you are, right? And it may be a slow process, but like someone once told me, like, you know, they're scared of me having done a certain job because I might get burned because it was with fire, right? And as I explained to them, is that when you're dealing with fire, every once in a while you might get burned, but at least you can say you was there, right? At least you can say you tried, you gave it a go, right? You didn't chicken out, right? You gotta not chicken out on your life. And it can be scary. Life is not meant to be a cushy, comfortable thing all the time. It's those scary times, those hard times, those struggles, those difficult times that give you the strength to face more of the same or even worse. You haven't become strong through the good things that have happened to you. You've become strong through the struggles that you've gone through. Even if you thought that you failed in that struggle made you a little bit stronger, right? So you can't be a failure, okay? A lot of people are like, I don't know if I'm gonna still survive this. Well, you've survived all kinds of things that you didn't think you were going to survive. You can survive it because you have survived it, right? Yeah, life is about risk. Life is about risk. If you don't risk, he who risks a lot stands to gain a lot. He who risks little has never even taken the chance to try to gain. Okay? And, you know, getting to the desired goal doesn't define whether you succeeded or you failed. It doesn't make you a failure. Nothing can make you a failure. There's lots of things that you didn't think you would be able to succeed at and succeeded. And there's a lot of things you thought you would be successful and maybe you weren't. But it doesn't make you a failure, right? I had made a comment because, you know, someone said something like, well, you are whatever you think you are. That's not true. A lot of people think they're no good and they're actually beautiful, amazing people. And a lot of good people get a lot of crap. Bad people don't get crap from people. It's good people that get crap from people. Right? Because good people don't expect that and good people don't treat people that way. But bad people treat other people that way. Right? So the idea that if you're good, okay, if you're good, then only good things are going to happen to you, that's a very messed up connotation. If you're good, there's a high likelihood that you're going to deal with more bad crap than someone who is bad. Why? Because someone who is bad, they're already on that mindset. They're already on the lookout, on the watch out. They're already paranoid about it. But if you're good, those things don't even cross your mind, and so it's going to seem like it blindsides you. But being yourself is never a failure, meaning being real, being who you are. It's not a failure. Everybody might not pat you on the back about it. Everybody might not love you. But everybody doesn't like any. There is no one thing that everybody loves. Even when we come into terms of like God, right? Even love. Everybody doesn't even love love. So you gotta let go of this, the whole world, because the whole world is in you. It's in you because you're worrying about what Joe is doing and what Mary is doing and what this looks like and what that looks like. That's going to cause an immense amount of anxiety. You're going to deal with a lot of anxiety if you're worrying about Joe and Mary and what he thinks and what she thinks and all this other stuff. Okay? They don't know what they think. What they think, in essence, is irrelevant because they're not you living your life. And many people are in suffering because the life they live is simply based on what they think other people think or will think, want, and need from them. And they can't see a way out. The way out is that sometimes people ain't gonna like you. You're gonna have to sacrifice people being like liking you and being all up your butt. Okay? And basically go ahead and live your life for you. Saludos, right? And what someone mentioned here is, in the reality, most people is not worried about you. Even people who will pretend to be worried, right? So you can't allow other people to give you the definition, right? Because you fail at something does not make you a failure. It makes you someone who tried and obviously needed another opportunity to try again, right? Very few people get anything right on the first round. Life itself is a learning experience, right? Everyone wants to be very black and white about life, but the truth is there are more things in color and in various shades of gray than there are black things or white things, completely black or completely white. Very few things are completely black or completely white. Hi, Zelma. Right? Don't be so black and white with yourself. Oh, I tried at this test. I went to school and I tried at this test and I didn't pass. I'm a failure. I'm an idiot. I'm this and I'm that. No. You took the damn test. It didn't work out. You're going to take that shit again. Right? That doesn't make you a failure. It means maybe you had some trouble memorizing some information. And really, that's no grand skill. Right? It is working on, hi Jean, working on being able to gather up some more information. So, my message to you today, right, is to appreciate your struggles. Look at how much your struggles have brought you. The strength it's brought you, the wisdom it's brought you, right? It was through one of my struggles that I learned how to use bubble gum, literally, to fix something in a car, right? It's through my struggles that I learned how to be able to basically go with very little to nothing and be able to more than enough survive and enjoy it, right? And having the freedom actually of not having to worry about anything, right? So appreciate your struggles. Stop judging yourself so black and white, meaning like I'm either a failure or I'm a success, either I'm dumb or I'm smart. Stop going so black and white on yourself. To do that, I'm going to give you a trick, is that you got to stop doing it with other people. You can't let go of being black and white on yourself like that if you're doing it with other people. Which is why they say, like, be careful if you judge lest you be judged. When you judge other people in that black and white terminology, you're going to judge yourself with that same terminology. And you're going to put yourself in a stuck position. So you got to stop judging other people so that you can stop judging yourself and stop being so black and white and hard on yourself. Right? You only have one heart, and that one little heart, it got to do a lot of damn work to keep you living. Hi, Courtney. You got to do a lot of work. Don't stress it out. You only have so many heartbeats. Don't run all through them all quick because you're stressed because of what Mary said at work. Fuck Mary. She'll get over it. Sometimes, you know, it's worth the fight. It's worth the argument in order to get your point across. Sometimes it's not. Learn the difference. Right? I hope that this has helped some of you guys. If you like the video, go ahead and share on whichever platform that you're on. If you're watching this on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe. And if you'd like to make an offering, a donation to these lives, Cash App, cash symbol Hector Salva, or PayPal, help@mysticalwork.com. I'm going to actually be doing a live on Facebook later this evening with a group known as Reinas 2121. It's going to be in Spanish for those of you who speak Spanish. It's going to be pretty much, I believe, exclusively on Facebook. So if you want to catch that, catch me there. And I hope that all of you have an awesome weekend and a great day. So do yourself a favor this weekend. Be a little less serious. Goof off a little bit more. Stop being so damn hard on yourself. Give yourself a little breathing room. Allow yourself to be a little human, you know? And make some mistakes, have some fun with them, and keep it pushing. So keep the faith.